So, communicating with the spirit guides, your ancestors, soul family, all the beings out there that seem to be really smart. Do you think it's a good idea or bad? And if so, why? Leave your comment. Now, when we look at this topic, there are a lot of pros and cons in both sides. So let's start probably from the cons. Is that a lot of people, when they think about talking to their ancestors or spirit guides, assume that they're smarter. And that's necessarily not the case. If we're looking into our biology and lineage and living here on Earth, a lot of people will call out to their ancestors. Now, someone who has lived before you, they might not have enough knowledge. Like, they have lived in times where there was no electricity, where they didn't have that much access to books or information out there, and they were simply working in the field. Yes, they might be connected to nature, but when life gets hard and they're working in the coal mine all day long, how smart are they, and how will they be able to help you? To tell you to be in the present moment and enjoy what you have. And if anything, well, kiddo, you can suffer enough and maybe you will be successful. It's all for your greater good. Really? Do you need to hear that? So, a lot of people assume that ancestors will be smarter, that they have all the answers and they will be able to give us some grand information that we lack right here. But actually, you can just go online, Google something, watch a video on YouTube, read a book, and it'll give you way more information. It's just up to you to look through it, filter it out, and like actually pick out things that will be valuable to you. So there's that. Another thing people have a misconception about is that spirit guides, ancestors, and others are actually sticking next to you at all times and are willing to help. Well, that's not necessarily true. They have their own lives. Imagine, well, you have a kid, 10, 20, 30 years pass, and they're doing their own thing. They are enjoying life, and suddenly they get in trouble, or they have a question and they call you. You're not there with them all the time. You're busy. You have your own life. You get a call. Maybe you hear the phone and you can pick up and give them the answer. And will you be smart enough? Will you have the knowledge to give them the answer they need? Or you're like, I don't know. You're asking me things I have never studied and looked into. So that might be the case. But a lot of beings out there, they're busy. They're not actually sticking and walking with us wherever we're going. And even if we're thinking about, oh, we're angel guys and like archangels, they're next to us all the time. No, these beings can be multidimensional. They can be all over the place, teleport, do stuff, come back if they want to, but they're not sticking to you all the time. So knowing that they're busy, and if you're looking for answers, and if you need guidance, you will not get it at all times, which means we have to work at digging within, and all the answers are within you. Your consciousness, that limitless awareness of it all, it's all you. So there's that side. Another thing people have an issue with when it comes to spirit guides, ancestors, and stuff, well, they lean for help. Anything happens, oh, spirit guides, oh, ancestors, help us out. We forget that everything is within us. So making decisions of, well, should I do this in life or that? Well, and we're gonna look around and ask for a spirit guide or ancestors or someone else to show us a sign. And then we're looking for the information, we're waiting, but we're not doing anything. Because, well, they're smarter. They will guide us. They'll show us the answer. Oh God, oh this deity, oh angel, something. And it's not always helpful. People need to train their awareness. People need to train their awareness to look for things that will work with the reticular activating system to feed you the information you're looking for, you're focusing on, and simply reading something, again, digging within. You can simply stop, meditate. To meditate is basically to focus on something, think about something for a while. So you're focusing on certain thought, focusing on certain idea, topic, question, and just let some time pass by. A few minutes, a few hours, a day or two. But whatever is important to you, you'll get the answer. And the important part is to be able to read the surroundings. Because sometimes, and it's easy and it's fun, when it gets into our head, it's just a thought that we come up with, an inspiration, an idea. It's great when it happens, but a lot of times that information is around us and we simply need to notice it. Can you notice it? Now that's another thing. So another issue when it comes to spirit guides, ancestors, deities, and people talking to all these smart as beings out there is that not always do you know who you're talking to. You feel like you have someone watching over you. You feel like you have someone guiding you, helping you out, sometimes answering your questions, and that is great. And when you call out to God, who is exactly answering? When you call out to all of these spirit guides and ancestors, who is exactly talking to you? Most people don't know. A lot of times, beings out there will use that situation. They can simply put on the label that will fit whoever you need to communicate to, and they'll play that role. They'll talk to you. Of course, they will answer, but it's not always helpful. Sometimes these beings, these entities, whoever wants to mess with you, well, they will give you answers that will actually mess with you. They will attract trouble into your life. They will attract events that will trigger you. So it's really important to know who we're communicating to. And when it comes to that, well, Aquila, well, how do you solve this? Simply saying the name of, well, I'm talking to Lord Jesus Christ. Amazing. I'm talking to my Auntie Liz. Amazing. But that alone is not enough. Simply stating the name or knowing how they look like is not enough. Because deities, entities, and beings out there can shapeshift and they can put that name, use the label, and still talk to you like, hey, I'm Aunt Lizzie. Listen, girl. Aunt Lizzie, you sound like a big bad wolf. That might be a thing. So the key thing to differentiate who is it, the real or fake one, is the essence. Essence of the being. If you have met someone in your life, maybe it's your great grandfather, maybe it's your uncle, your sister, someone that you have great connection with. When you are with that person, you have a certain feeling state. You're calm. You know that when you see him or her, you'll be really happy, joyful. It'll just be like, hey, they're the best buddy. They're that person that you might not see for years, but when you connect, you still have the deep connection no matter what. Nothing gets in the way. You're best buddies and you talk about anything. So people you encounter, beings you encounter, will leave a certain state. For some people, it will be experienced as well. It's not necessarily physical people among you. It might be an angel, an archangel, a spirit guide, someone when they get into your state. For example, you're meditating. Maybe you physical body falls asleep, you end up in a dream and you see another being. And that being, when it comes close to you, it leaves a certain emotion. This unconditional love, calmness, feeling of being relaxed. It makes you feel great. Feeling state that's so unforgettable that you're like, I want to repeat it. I want it to happen again. You might not have seen the being you were talking to. You might not know their name. So how do you connect with them? It is through their essence. So whenever you're communicating with a spirit guide or your chosen god or an angel or archangel, whoever you choose to communicate out there, if you do so, try connecting throughout the essence. It is the essence that you feel. And when you look at consciousness, that can be in a body and have tons of different shapes and tons of different lives, a specific body, that perception of the same consciousness in certain bodies will not remember you, but it is the essence. And you can connect to, so for example, you as a consciousness, you're in this body, but you have tons of other aspects living out there suddenly. You have past lives, you have future lives that are still happening out there. And someone who's trying to find you will connect with you through the essence, not your looks, not your name, because that means nothing. Absolutely nothing. Wherever you go, you're constantly changing. Your name can change. Same as an identity, as a character. When you're a kid, you're acting a certain way. You're curious about life, you're having fun, and then boom, drama, traumatic event that hurt you. And now you change. Now you have this iron heart or iron skin. Nothing can penetrate it, and you're kind of cold, and you're, still curious, but now cautious, trying to avoid trouble. You're constantly like hyper vigilant, looking around, scanning the situations, trying to survive. Your persona changed. And then you fall in love, and all of a sudden you melt, and your persona changed again. So that is same with your name. Who you identify as changes constantly, but the essence, the core being that you are, remains the same. This is how you connect with main beings. That being said, I think like the biggest issues is like people don't know who they're talking to. Beings out there are not necessarily smarter or wiser. If someone from super advanced civilization contacted you and said like, "Hey, in your past life you were an engineer. Please help us build a spaceship," and you're like, "I know nothing about engineering. I'm a dancer here. How are we gonna help?" With your imagination, of course. Cool, partly. But to create every single detail when you know nothing about a subject, that's kind of hard. So it's the same thing. Imagine beings out there living in super advanced civilizations, billions of years ahead of us, asking for something that you've never even heard about. It's going to be hard to help. So it's good when we're talking to someone who is in the similar caliber or knows about certain subjects, but then we have to connect with specific aspect of that being. Specific aspect, like let's say, oh, okay, I'm connecting with my ancestor in whatever life that has plenty of information about getting out of body under the terms of living in Earth, having matrix around you, having tons of direct energy weapons, systems, and things stopping you. How do you get out? Please help me out. Now you're being very specific. You're not just asking someone who's like, well, you just close your eyes and you shift. Well, yeah, they live under different circumstances. They will not be able to help you out like that. That kind of answer is like, doesn't really help. So, anyway, it's good to know who you're talking to. It's good to be very specific. It's good to connect through the essence. And these are the main things. And then solving solving things like people rely on beings to solve issues. Some people pass away and they're like, well, I've read in the Bible that Lord Jesus will come and they will lead us to heaven. So I passed away, but I will wait for Lord Jesus. And they stand in one place for thousands of years because Jesus is busy somewhere else. So it's good to know about things and not expect that everyone will save you or give things you need. They might give information. That's probably the best thing you're going to get. But to expect events to turn around and work in different ways, remember that just the same way you're trying to get help, there are that many forces trying to mess with you. I'm not saying we're all doomed and that we're constantly being messed with 24/7, but a lot of people, because they went through so much in life, because of how amazing you are, how special you are, you left a mark somewhere showing that you're a threat. That alone makes it difficult in life. That alone, when you're trying to get help, you also get the same amount of pushback and finding the balance and finding ways to fight by yourself with support but not help. They will, a lot of beings will not come and help you out here. They will give information. They will give the emotional support. That's about as much as you're gonna get. So there's that. Okay, well, positive sides to talking and communicating to spirit guides, ancestors, and the beings out there. This is the side I like. Getting a different side of story. When you ask all of these questions and you're being specific, when you know who you're talking to, when you know who that core being is, what they're all about, and info, what they're good at. It's not like, okay, well, okay, specific reptilian that has never even seen a single reptilian in their lives and is like nomad and, just has a whole different information. You're not going to get everything about their race. It's just that being saw certain information and that's all it can give to you. So we have to be specific. But hearing their side of story, When we're learning about our past lives, traumas, or let's say even when you consciousness shift and you're exploring what's out there in the astral, when you get out of body, when you're learning about forces that are messing with you, or maybe simply digging within yourself, your fears, your limits, limiting beliefs, decisions that are getting in the way, self sabotage mechanisms. When you talk to beings who are taking the part in it all, in your story, specific events, and hear their side, well, okay, so you have a headache and you're picking out that someone's beaming a laser at you or something, and you're just like, okay, imagine it, you consciousness shift and you find this little reptilian pushing a button in their spaceship, causing you headache. So you imagine talking to them. And that's where they can share information about the hierarchy, who's involved, why are they doing this. It's not just like, oh, we're gonna push a button and cause you a headache. No. It's like this person is waking up. This person is a freaking catalyst. Whoever he or she talks to, well, they're gonna help people to wake up. They're making a massive difference in the world. They're helping people to focus on the positive, and all of them can manifest things really great. And this is why you are a threat, which is why, to stop you from talking to people, let's cause a headache. Let's bring some people into your life and trigger them. It might be your best friend, it might be someone in your family, but those people around you will get triggered. So there will be a miscommunication, some misinformation. Someone hasn't heard enough and they're assuming stuff. And now you're having a conflict. Things that they were going just fine. And all of a sudden, paradigm crash. You were at the top of your game, doing really good, and boom, you crash. So when you talk to beings out there, depending on the story, on the event, on what's going on, spirit guides, angels, archangels, gods, deities, there are so many beings out there. So depending on your case, whatever you're focusing on, and if it's a specific being that's going to be helpful, hearing the other side of story so that you would get a better understanding, more information about what's going on and things to focus on, getting a lead on what you should work on, that is great. Another thing is learning about ourselves. Now, again, not everything that we hear from them we can believe. Or more like, yeah, well, it's a story. They're telling you you're a god being and you're great at manifesting and you're just like amazing queen or king and you've been doing so much stuff. And you look at yourself and you feel like a bum and you feel like depressed person who has been suppressed their whole lives on meds and everything else. And you're like, yeah, well, I don't believe that story. Of course, I'm not going to believe that. After everything you've been here on Earth, it's really hard to believe anything positive that those beings give to you, right? But it is a lead. It shows you, like, hey, this is who you are. Whatever you're in this physical body, whatever you experienced, it's a role you play. Things happened. You told yourself a story. You believe that story. You tell yourself the same thing again and again and again because of the life circumstances. But is it real? Not necessarily. There's a lot of assumptions, a lot of illogical things in that story. But if we believe it, we play the character until we look at the same things that happened to us from a different perspective, break the character, turn into a new role, and then we play from that perspective. So, yeah, we can get information from these beings. We can get some guidance. Another thing people get is like, besides downloading or getting information, emotions, the love feelings, the support. Whenever you're just like maybe stuck and feeling lost in life and just not knowing what to do and feeling like you want to die, sometimes connecting to those beings, your soul family, someone you know out there, through their essence. These beings can support you. And all of a sudden, you're just sitting, meditating, trying to talk to them, and you get this wave of love. And you're sitting, and the whole day you were feeling depressed and anxious and wanting to die, there's up. And it's not like you're in their bond, like, oh, love everything. No, but it clears up your case. And whatever has been happening throughout the day, now it's not important because you're in the present and you're feeling good. And that's the key thing. When we get some help from these beings, they push us out of the story. If we were telling ourselves the story of today has been really bad and I feel like shit, but all of a sudden things cleared up, you're feeling love, you're feeling calm, things that happen throughout the day no longer trigger you. It's just something that you looked at, it triggered you, now you're stuck on it, you keep thinking about it, you keep finding more and more reasons to be angry about. But again, it's the story that we look at, we assume things, we get angry about. But the same thing can happen to anyone else, or even you. And if you're feeling different about it today, it's not going to trigger you. It's not going to do a thing. So these beings, when they know us and they give us that state feeling, they just push us outside of the story and give us a different feeling state like love or simply calmness. You don't need to feel all loving, but simply feeling calm. This is where you react to things way differently. And that's where you can actually work through stuff. So I think like these are probably the best parts when talking to spirit guides or angels or other beings out there. But how do you look at it? Talking to, you know, angels, archangels, spirit guides, ancestors, there's so many beings out there. Who do you talk to if you do? And do you think it's good or not? If so, leave a comment. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.